Hello and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
Doing great. How about you, Eric?
Doing fantastic.
Getting ready for all the trick-or-treaters later this week?
Yeah, Halloween is upon us. The costume parties have already started.
Yep, we're actually doing our networking meeting this Friday in West Hartford in costume too. So you don't know what I'm going to show up as to run the meeting, but it's going to be fun.
Halloween's always a fun time of year, and make the most of it.
Absolutely.
Well, today we have a special guest, attorney Theresa DeGray. Theresa, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're doing well. And today, we touched on this briefly last week, but today we're going to be talking about identity theft and
Yes.
what goes on. It's really, unfortunately, a growing problem. So, Theresa, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, let's define what exactly is identity theft?
Well, it could be somebody actually stealing your identity of your name and all of that, but it's usually somebody using your social security number for credit.
So we've all gotten used to having to fill out so many forms with social security numbers. It's used as ID. It's out there. How can we protect ourselves against this?
Well, you can do certain things like putting a freeze on your credit report. You can also redact your social security number. The Social Security Administration actually has taken steps to make sure that your social security number no longer shows up on your Medicare cards. So there's a separate Medicare number now, an ID number. That went into effect, I believe, April of 2018. And also, when you file certain court documents, the documents that have your full social security number on them for purposes that are related to what you're filing are actually private documents that only the court sees. So part of the filing is now non-public or it is redacted. Also, most of the documents that you file with the Superior Court now that would have income information or anything related to pay stubs or paychecks becomes sealed.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, nice to know the government is doing something to protect us against this.
Yes. And of course, as common, practice for individuals, obviously don't give out your social security number unless it is to a trusted individual or a trusted company. Protect it, as much as you can. The old rules about not laminating your social security card and all that. I mean, I don't think anybody really cares that it's laminated at this point, but just as long as it's protected, I wouldn't carry it around with you in your wallet or anything like that, and I certainly wouldn't leave it in your car, things like that. I know that now when you have a baby and you have their social security cards now, you're in charge of yours and theirs. So what I suggest to people is go to Walmart and buy a waterproof, fireproof lockbox, and instead of paying money to have a safe deposit box, and just keep all your valuables and your personal and private documents in that box. So when you do need them, like a passport or a copy of your social security card or a birth certificate, you have them in all one central location.
More and more these days, we're running into actually at networking meetings. A lot of people are out there selling identity theft protection, and we're hearing that this is getting very, very serious. What are your thoughts on identity theft protection these days? And obviously, it's going to be growing as time moves on.
So I don't want to call anybody out or put anybody down, but I have some issues with identity theft protection services because sometimes that does also include running your credit report. And the more your credit report gets run, the more it looks like there's inquiries on your credit report, and it could actually drive your credit score down. So the best thing to do is either just leave your credit report alone and protect yourself on your own, or put a freeze on your credit report so it only becomes unlocked when you need to use it or apply for something.
That's interesting because we see all of these credit protection, Credit Karma, and the commercials run ad nauseum.
Yeah, they're just looking to make money off of you, especially something like what you just mentioned. Again, I don't want to put anybody specifically down because I don't work for or against any of these individual companies or individuals, but if they're constantly running your credit report, running your credit and pulling it over and over again, that's not a good thing. Also, most of those big end or commercial type of companies, they're not giving you the full picture of your credit report. So the best thing for anybody to do is to actually use the government's websites. So there's two websites that I rely on all the time, one of them almost every day, and that is the Federal Trade Commission's Consumer Information website. And you can go onto that website and pull down or download, excuse me, your 3 free credit reports once per year. And that's all I advise people to do is just pull them once per year, check in, make an anniversary of it. So if you pull it today, then your anniversary might be Halloween every year. Or if you pull it around your birthday, that would be the anniversary. So I would pull all 3 of them once a year, and they're free if you do it once a year, and they are your official credit reports from TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And those are the only 3 credit bureaus that you should be interacting with to get official information about yourself. The other website that I mentioned is actually identitytheft.gov. So we've seen such a rise in identity theft over the last few years that the federal government, the Federal Trade Commission's actually set up a completely separate website that is just for identity theft. So if anybody does experience identity theft, there's a protection and recovery plan right on the website. So it's identitytheft.gov, and that literally has a to-do list on how to protect yourself and how to recover if your identity theft was stolen. I'm sorry, if your identity was stolen.
Yeah, I was actually in that website today as I was preparing for this talk today, and they have it's really, really step by step as far as what to do, and it's easy to follow. The headings are what to do right away, and it talks about calling the companies where the fraud occurred, so on and so forth. It talks about what to do next, other possible steps, certain types of accounts such as utilities, phones, and so on and so forth. It's very, very comprehensive, and it even has a section saying clues that someone has stolen your information, and you can probably talk about that as far as different ways to know that something might be wrong.
Yeah, so the easiest thing to do to find out if somebody has access, like, say, a bank account, is literally just check your bank account every day or every couple of days. Just make sure that the balance is kind of what it's supposed to be. Um, Also, there's things that you can do with the IRS and the Department of Revenue Services to check and make sure if anybody's filed an income tax return on your Social Security number before you go and do so. Because the last thing you want to do is get caught filing 2 separate two separate tax returns, because then you'll get audited. So talk to your CPAs or your tax preparers to make sure that step is taken, to make sure that only you and you alone are using your Social Security number to file your tax returns. There's other things that you can do through your credit card companies. I don't necessarily agree or like the fact that some of the credit card companies pull your credit score automatically for you every month. First of all, I'm kind of weary about it, and I don't know if it's actually true and accurate. And second of all, it's again another inquiry on your credit report. So I don't like when people are inquiring on my credit report. I just recently moved. We got a mortgage, and a couple months before that, had gone car shopping and I was stupid enough to let one of the car dealers run my credit to see how much they would give me for a loan for a vehicle. I didn't end up buying that vehicle. And I say that I was stupid about it because I should know better. Like, I wasn't totally in love with the vehicle. I should have thought about it a little bit longer until I had them pull a credit check. Um, and then I had, 2 months later to go shopping around for a mortgage. And then, of course, the mortgage company comes to me immediately and says, what are these two inquiries from Toyota and Volvo? And I had to explain in a written letter that I had, come to the end of my lease and I had to go car shopping and I had to find another vehicle. So it was kind of annoying, embarrassing, and stupid on my part, when I should have known better not to have anybody pull my credit for something I wasn't really 100% sure about.
There's there's also some things that people really need to just pay attention to. So many of us, we get, junk mail comes in the mail, we toss it out without looking. We really should be paying attention, because if a credit card bill that you don't have that card comes to you, um, other bills come to you that it's things you didn't buy, these are dead giveaways that somebody is using your name.
Yeah, you should check your credit card statements every single month. I know a lot of people do online banking or online bill pay. So if you're on your bank statement, you're going to want to make sure that you're checking your bank statement for all transactions. So if you're on your bank's website to do bill pay, make sure you check your bank statements. A lot of people don't have their bank statements mailed to them anymore, so they can download them as PDFs. Same thing with credit card bills. So a lot of people have automatic credit card payments taken out every month. That's great and it's convenient and everything, but that also means that there's probably an e-bill, and there's no mailed bill to your house, so you don't have a physical bill to open up and hold in your hand. So that's the downfall of that system. Every time I go on to pay certain bills, the companies hound me, get an e-bill, get an e-bill. I don't want to mail you this bill anymore. Save the environment, all that. Yes, that's wonderful, but then you're going to have to go in and remember to look at the e-bill, because you need to check the transaction history on all of your accounts. If it's an account that you have not used and you don't plan on using it and it's just in pay down mode, you still want to check it, because that's the one that's most susceptible to false charges or unauthorized charges, because you're not really paying attention to it. Maybe you don't even carry the card in your wallet and you're not doing anything with it at the time. You want to make sure and check that there is no activity. So you're either checking for your own activity to make sure it's something that you did yourself on purpose, or that there is no activity on an account that you've let lie. So I would check every single month all your credit card statements to make sure. The other tip that I want to give everybody is if you have authorized users. So a lot of times husbands and wives are authorized users. So I know I have I'm sorry, it's the other way around. My husband has a Home Depot card. I'm the authorized user. I don't really shop at Home Depot a whole lot, but he does. So I sometimes will say to him, "Oh, what did you buy at Home Depot?" Because I'm going to check the bill and then I'm going to see a charge for something, and I don't know if it was actually him or if it was somebody who stole my credit card or stole my identity. So you have to make sure that you check in with everybody that has access to the card. And I would be very careful as to who you give access to. So, maybe a teenager is not such a great idea, or, an untrustworthy friend or something like that. Spouses, people that live with you in your house, are a little bit easier to control and manage, because you're seeing them come and go. And, I think I would notice if my husband showed up with a new drill. But you never know. I mean, he could have bought something and used it, and stuck it in his truck and I never saw it. So I need to know what all the activity is. And to that point, some of these companies now have these magical little things that you can go in and set in your account. And there are all kinds of alerts, just like you would get an alert that somebody posted on your wall on Facebook.